And I'm going to go live on Facebook. I am my own lovely assistant, so I just have to
Yeah.
bear with
Good
me.
assistant. Yeah.
I'm a pretty good assistant to myself, actually.
You're the best kind.
Right? I'm always here.
You get upset with you, you can send you home.
Right, exactly. Love that. Okay. All right. So this will be both available as a replay on Facebook in the Facebook group, but I will also, I don't do this with all of my recordings, but for this one, because we've got such an esteemed crowd here, I'm going to record this and post it also on my YouTube page. So in case something happens with Facebook, we've got it on my YouTube page as well. So, all right. Well, welcome everyone officially to the Improvising Harpist. This is a special podcast, special edition, where we're not really talking about improvising. We're talking about health and aging and wellness at the harp. And we have a number of guests here who are going to give about a 10-minute presentation and then a little Q&A for them at the end. And I'll have them all introduce themselves as because if I introduced them all, I would just take the entire hour and a half talking about how fabulous they are, and they would never get around to talking about what I want to talk about. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So first off, I want to ask Lori Riley and then Jessica Browning to speak first. So Lori, you introduce yourself, and you've got about 10 minutes to talk about your amazing work as an ergonomist. First of all, tell us what an ergonomist is.
An ergonomist. So the word ergo, E-R-G-O, means therefore. And what you do with your body, or how you sit, or how you use your instrument, should be done according to, therefore, how your body best works. And that's, you know, the term ergonomy, or being an ergonomist, is very descriptive in that way. I've been a professional harpist most of my life. I started touring to do concerts in 1985. Toured all over the United States and in Canada, and also went to Ireland. And I've been teaching ergonomics for harpists and other musicians for 36 years. I noticed early on that almost everybody who played the harp complained of discomfort and pain. And I had some background in medical knowledge and physiology and anatomy. So with that in my background and some extra study, I was able to develop a way of teaching ergonomics that has been very, very successful. I was a founding member of and advisor to the National Standards Board for Music Ergonomics, which I highly recommend checking out. It's nsbme.org. I have a video on my website and on YouTube called Play Pain Free for a Lifetime. I also things over here. That's this book on playing pain-free. And so teaching ergonomics requires a knowledge of anatomy, physiology, how the nervous, skeletal, and muscular systems interact with each other, the effects of previous injuries and autoimmune pain.
Oops.
Have I been muted the whole time?
No, I was muting others and I accidentally muted you. I apologize.
So ergonomics is not sports medicine. And one of the things that I see happening that often has bad results is people going to sports medicine folks and having them not understand that these are not impact injuries. So the solutions are different. And ergonomics is not just what's taught as correct posture or correct technique. Very often, if you consult 3 or 4 different teachers, you'll get 3 or 4 different descriptions of what's correct. And then you'll be told this is the only correct way. Well, if they're all different, how can there be just one correct way? So very often injury results from some of the things that we're taught. And these things need to be considered on an individual basis because every individual is different physiologically. So harp playing shouldn't be about no pain, no gain. It should be no pain, no pain. So the 2 areas of focus in music ergonomics, how we sit, our position, I should say. Position involves how we sit, what we sit on, and how we hold the instrument. And the other thing is movement, how we use our arms and hands, how we move with our music, and how we actually pluck the strings. So ergonomics it's a full body thing. It's the whole body, including the fingers, the back, the shoulders, the hips, the legs, the neck, the head, the arms, the wrists, the hands, the fingers, everything, literally. One of the best pointers that I can talk about is neutral posture. What is neutral posture? It is a way of sitting and standing that no one muscle group is working any harder than any other muscle group in the body to hold you comfortably upright. And comfortable is a key word here, because so many of us sit in these very military-like ways with the hips forced way forward and a huge curve in our back and our chin tucked way back, and it's so uncomfortable. So how to sit comfortably and have it be a healthy posture at the same time involves having all of the muscle groups in the body working together equally. Good movement, which involves technique, of course, produces a good tone and accuracy without excessive physical effort. Hands and arms should be relaxed, but effective. And the ways of plucking is where ergonomics and physics meet, because it involves tone production plus relaxation. There's a lot of tension many people have when they pluck, or they might pluck in the wrong direction or something like that. And the physics doesn't work, so you don't get the tone, but you also get injuries. So I've got a few minutes left. Basically, neutral posture involves sitting with, you see how my knees are a little bit lower than my hips, and my feet, the ball of my foot, this part of the foot here, is directly under my knees. And then, instead of the way most people in Western cultures have been taught to sit with this huge curve in the back, and that is extremely injurious. Having the back actually straight is much better than this. And interestingly, most of the time when you teach people how to do this, they think they're doing this because it feels so different from that. So the straight back is extremely helpful. I've had people have experiences where their pain goes away immediately. Then having the shoulders comfortable, a lot of people do this, or they force them way back like this, just comfortable. Having the chin comfortably upright and holding the harp in such a way that you don't have to hold your neck or your head to the side like this. So one of my favorite tips is instead of holding the harp perpendicular to the body, angling it so that you don't have to tilt your head to see the strings. And you can see everything, you can reach everything more easily this way. There's no problem with angling the harp. Another thing that I like to teach people to do is instead of leaning the harp directly on the shoulder, to lean it on the right thigh. If you have a pedal harp, that has a natural balance point, so you don't have to have a weight on your shoulder. Smaller harps have a natural balance point too, but they also, since there are no pedals, we can just lean them on the right thigh. And then there's no weight on my shoulder, I'm just touching it. And that helps so much with dexterity. If you have too much weight on your shoulder, and it's important to be able to move your arm and have your fingers have plenty of dexterity, and weight prevents that. So getting the weight off the shoulder is a big thing. One of my favorite things to tell people to do is instead of plucking outwards like this, to pluck inward like this. Because when you pluck up and out, you stress these tendons and the whole carpal area. Many people think that a harp string should vibrate side to side like this, and so they pluck sideways. And it should vibrate front to back, toward you and away from you. And so plucking towards you or directly away from you without coming out like this makes a huge difference in the health of our hands. So those are just a few of hundreds of things that could be said, but those are the highlights.
Okay, thank you so much, Lori. If you have questions for Lori, just drop them in the chat here. And anytime, if you think of something now that you'd like to ask, just drop it in the chat, or later, because we'll have a general Q&A at the end when everybody's had a chance to speak. All right, so I forgot to say that at the beginning, but yeah, please, as questions occur to you, pop them in the chat and we'll ask them and get them answered for you. All right, super. I've known about your book, Lori, for a while, but I haven't read it, and now I'm feeling like I need to. That you've just whetted the appetite here, just giving us just a little bit. And can people work with you directly if they?
Yeah, I work with Zoom, and it's amazing that it actually works pretty well on Zoom.
It works well on Zoom. Okay, great. So yeah, so if you want more information from Lori or from any one of the speakers, feel free to reach out to them and get in touch with them directly. All right, so next up, I want to invite Jessica Browning, who's a professional harpist and yoga teacher, and then after her, we'll ask Doris to come up and speak.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Lori. I actually learned some things, and I'll try to kind of piggyback on what you just said, but that was really helpful. So hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Jessica Browning, and I'm kind of known as the boat harpist. The last 5 years, my family and I have lived on sailboats, and we left from France with my classical harp and Kamek electric harp, and now an Odyssey Kamek harp. And we've sailed across the Atlantic Ocean twice, and we're in the Caribbean Sea in St. Martin, and getting ready for more adventures, which I can't quite talk about yet, but are all in the mix in about a year from now. So I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm starting in March. I'll be doing a tour in the States called Healing Through Music. And it's actually about using the harp to heal from emotional pasts in my childhood. But I do, with my students, do a lot of work around being embodied while we play the harp. So I've studied yoga in India, and I found pretty quickly that a lot of what we do in yoga is really beneficial for harp playing, because we tend, when we're stressed, to put a lot of or nervous, we kind of tense up, which is the exact opposite of what we want to do. So what I'm going to show you are a few exercises which I learned in India, and I've also kind of adapted them to the needs of my own students. So the first thing, I'm going to invite you to do this with me. And as what Laurie said, the goal is not to feel pain. So if I am saying to do something and immediately you feel pain, stop, listen to your body. That's where the answer always lies. So I noticed for myself that I started to have tendonitis, especially in my left hand. I was playing in a festival in Italy and got a lot of pain right here. So one of the first things that you can do if you find yourself having a lot of pain is to slowly massage that area, and you'll feel it. It will almost feel like there's a ball where you'll feel pain. And my advice is to just try to work through it. So that's just a little, what would we call that? Just a little thing. If you're really having pain, that's sort of a first step. But before you have pain, some things you can do every time before you practice are some different exercises. So the first thing, let's just do a little breathing exercise to come into our bodies. This is a great exercise for grounding yourself. So breathe in through your nose, fill up your belly, and then breathe out through your mouth like you're wind between the trees. Okay, we're going to do this 3 times. In through your nose. One last time, in through your nose. Out through your nose. Great. And that kind of helps you just feel more in your body. Okay, now you're going to bring your hands in front of yourself, push them forward, feel the stretch. Okay, bring it back in. Now go over your head. Usually I do this a little bit slower, but I only have 10 minutes. So you can imagine doing this a little more gently. Okay, now bring it in. Exhale, bring your arms in front of you. Great, feel the stretch. Okay, exhale, bring it into your heart. Now over your beautiful head. So make sure your shoulders stay down. Okay, bring it back in. Now we're actually going to flip, like you come in, you flip. And now try this one. If it hurts, don't do it. Just do what feels good for you. Okay, bring it back in. Same thing now over your head. Beautiful. Okay, bring your arms back in. Now bring your wrist in front of you and just make 10 movements in a clockwise direction, 10 circles. Continue breathing. And while you're doing this, send a lot of love to your beautiful wrists. Okay, now counterclockwise. You're doing great, you magic harpist. Keep going. Great. Okay. Release. Now bring your hand. Okay, I don't know if you can see. Okay. So you bring your hand this way. Continue breathing. Now you're going to bring it down and feel that stretch. And as you're doing this and breathing, I invite you to send love to your hands. Great. Okay, now we're going to do this with, I'm left-handed, so I realize I'm doing this with that. You probably all started with your right hands, right? Okay, now again, flip it over this way. Continue breathing. Now bring your arm inside. Like this. That's great. Okay. Now bring your right hand in front of you, just like this, and slowly bring your arm over to the left side. Good job. Keep breathing. And now release. Same thing with your left arm. Bring it in. That's great. Release when you feel. Good job. Now, this one is a little tricky. And again, I invite you, if this feels too much, don't do it. I'm going to show you what I do in the back, but don't push yourself. Okay. So you bring your right hand, and then with your left hand, you can either grab them, but if that's too much stretch, don't do that. Just do what feels comfortable for you. Continue breathing. Okay. Release. Same thing with your left hand. Bring your left hand over here. Go as far, don't push yourself, just do what feels comfortable. Okay. Release. That's great. We're almost done. You're being great. Okay, now we're going to make just 10 circles with our head. Clockwise direction. Again, gently and slowly. Do not push yourself. Okay. We're going to go counterclockwise now. Try to, as you're doing this, tell your neck that you love her, that you're so grateful for all that she does, holding up your head, holding all the muscles of your back together. And now turn your head to the right, come back to the center. Exhale, turn your head to the left. Come back to the center. To finish, we're going to finish with one last little asana, which I recommend that you do several times a day, if you can. And this is not just good for harping, but it's good for all of your life. Okay, so inhale, open your beautiful arms. Exhale, bring it in, give yourself a hug and say, I love you. Say your name just as you are. Give yourself little kisses. Feel that love. Never let go. And thank you. So that is a little exercise that you can do. You don't have to do them in that order, but they're little movements, which I found can really help you warm up if you're experiencing pain before you start harping. And a piece of advice that I would give to all harpists, which we don't maybe naturally think of, but stay hydrated. I had a gig the other day that I had to play for 3 hours, and I had so much pain and I couldn't consciously figure out what was going on. And then I realized I wasn't hydrated. And that little change, for me anyway, my body makes such a big difference. So make sure you stay hydrated, listen to your body. And the advice that Lily just gave, I thought that Lori, was wonderful about also using the balance of your harp with your knees to find the best balance. We often think we have to hold the weight of the harp and maybe the world on our shoulders. And no. So thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with all of you. Yeah, that's the end of my little time. Much love, beautiful harpists.
Thank you so much, Jessica. That's just probably what we needed, just to have a little bit of exercise right here. And I didn't tell my story, so I'll just quickly tell part of why I'm interested in this and why we're doing this is that I had a really severe low back injury because I was carrying too much weight on the shoulder, and it was driving. And I was sitting with just a little bit of a twist in my low back, sitting asymmetrically at the harp. So between that little twist and having too much weight on my shoulders, and it took years for the injury to happen. But then one day I was out walking my dog and I fell down and I couldn't get up. And it was so much pain I couldn't walk. And it was like 18 months of physical therapy to be able, I had to stop playing for a while and come back to it. So that's part of my story, why I'm so interested in this. And then when Melinda came on my podcast a couple months ago, she talked about some of her story too. And I'm like, oh, we definitely need to do this panel and let harpists know that there are safe, comfortable ways to play. And so I'm the posture queen too. Like, don't do sit correctly as best you can. And so all of the advice and the warm-ups are so important as well. So, all right, thank you so much. Up next, we're going to hear from Doris, who's a professional harpist in Croatia. It's evening there. And then after that, we'll invite Melinda up to tell her stories and share her tips. So Doris.
Hello, everybody. I'm Doris. I'm a professional harpist from Croatia, Europe. I'm playing harp for now more than 37 years. But since I was 6, I started with the music school. So I'm not only harpist, I play violin, viola, piano, and guitar. But the harp is my love and my inner invitation. So I'm only now make a living from playing harp, basically last 25 years. So I'm so glad to have you to be here, because when I listened to Lori before, I was very, very lucky, because my teachers from harpist teacher never trying to make me put in a different position of perfect look like on instrument. So I'm a tall person. I'm 1 meter and 82 centimeters. I don't know how much is on foot, but I'm very tall woman. So all my teachers was short, and they told me, you need to find your best way to make it easy. Never have any tension with the shoulder, with the plucking, with everything. So basically, I never had injured. I look all of my colleagues, they have very, very much problem with the tendons or backs or shoulders. I never get it. Maybe because I was a professional swimmer. Maybe that's the one part, but I think the most part of it that my advice is never have a tension in anything. If you have a tension, if it's something heavy, it's not good. That's my politics. So until 2 years ago, when a woman will understand, menopause start, and then starts little kind of problems, because we had in theater, I have permanent job in theater in orchestra who plays musicals and operettas. So we have premiere of musical Beauty and the Beast. And that part of harpist in that orchestra is like playing 2.5 hours without stopping. It's the longest music sheets, orchestra score for harp that I ever see. So it's not difficult, and it's perfect score. But after 3 or 4 days that we have rehearsals, I start to notice that my right foot is having pain. And then I need to check how many times do I have movement with pedals. And I counting on the next rehearsal with right hands, I have 250 movements during the show with the right hand. Yeah, that is only that's very, and it was like, oh my God, I didn't have that on when I perform jazz or I have exams, anything. So I start, of course, with the stretching, with the meditation, breathing, and everything what Lori and Jessica said, says, and everybody, it's very, very good, but nothing helps but the rest. So I start to wear the socks for compression, and it helps me until I get my foot in that kind of condition, like good condition for that show. So 250 with the right foot and 182 with the left foot. So my body was like all the time, I need to be strong and it's a minute, like you have in 1 minute or 1 second on one bar, you need to change 7, 8, 9 pedals on something. It's very, very strong. And during the time that I was focused on the pedal, I start to push my shoulder. And that was start of the beginning of some kind of pain. It's not a really heavy pain, and it's not injured. And good thing, and what is my advice to all people, not just harpists, but all harpists, musicians, people, to be aware of every minute. I think it will be easier. I start to notice on this, like 2 minutes after I start to do that with my shoulder, that I'm doing something wrong. It doesn't feel good, but I was aware of that. And after that, I changed the chair. Intuitively, I start to sitting like Lori says, with my with the back, low back. It's I don't know. It's COCCYX.
Coccyx.
Okay, okay. Like little bit spinal, that be easy to me, and everything was okay. Also, that kind of thing connect not only with the physical work with pedals. Also, I start to notice during the menopause, it's heavier. You have hot flashes, you have lower concentration, everything. What do you have? And you need to go through it. It's not so easy like that. So I notice I have tingling in my right hand, and I'm left-handed. So I start to noticing what I'm doing. I'm scrolling too much with my mobile phone. It was period when I was scrolling and with my finger like this. This is the sickness of the modern age, this one. So, okay, first when I need to something do now, I'm using both hands. And I start to use mobile phones so less more. Also start to swim and do the stretching. So I'm sorry that I have no more experience about injury, but it is good for me that I don't have, since all my life I look my colleagues and everybody have problems. I never had it. But also I'm a very, very lucky person, and it's a little bit hard for me to accept it, that this changing in my body comes over the aging.
Mhm.
So yes, that's part of the aging. It's not like I can act like I have 25. It's not like that. If I have hurt, it's not gone like after half an hour. No, you need to work something on that. So my advice is to be aware what we are doing with our body. If you feel that something is heavy for you, don't do it or make it change. Like Lori says, put your harp on the knee, make yourself comfortable in any part of time. If you have a solo concert, if you have orchestra part, anything, you need make yourself comfortable. That is all what, and also the beautiful thing about harp, especially pedal harps, you all know that pedal harps have 7 octaves, and they assimilate to 7 chakras in human body. So also kind of warming up, if you are playing scales, chords or something like that, you can do it easy on the all harp, because that 7 octaves that you are going through also can help to heal all your body, all part of your body. So use your own instrument to heal yourself, because harp can heal everybody else and also can us.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true. This in English we have a saying that says, "Doctor, heal thyself." We can say, "Harpist, heal thyself." We can,
Yes,
we just hug onto that, feel those vibrations coming into the body, and there, oh, that's a whole
yes.
different panel discussion about
Yes,
the
but
physics of healing.
sometimes we forget about that, like doctors, or
Right.
we forget about that we have the right instrument in our hands. And if you are hurting about something, you are listen how to make pain out, everything, you cream, you make it warmer, icer, everything. But we have instrument, the perfect instrument that we can
Mhm.
use for healing.
That's so true. That's so
Yes.
true. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your stories, Doris. I really
Welcome.
I really love having you on the show. And Doris is going to be doing a live concert for us coming up at the beginning of October on
Yes.
here in
Rock October. Yeah.
Rock the Rocktober. She's going to rock
Yeah.
out, give us a concert. So that'll be. I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, everything you said just it resonates for me as well, and a lot of us who are, in our 50s and up, we're dealing with menopause and the changes that happen. I'm like you. I'm like, what? My body's doing what?
Yes.
I've never done that before. What is
Yeah.
going on?
And I have this one.
Right? But it's really important because we do need to pay attention more to different ways of sitting or different ways of playing or different ways of interacting with our instrument as we get older. So
And I'm sorry, I just forgetting one thing that during my getting my PhD degree from jazz and improvisation, I changed the technique a little bit because people who playing jazz on harp, Melinda, I think that you know about that. It's different than classical education, and I changed the technique, and my bone from this one start a little bit go heavier on the sound on the harp, and I deal it with something that sports guys wear it, like this. Like this.
Mhm.
Yes, because it's also body needs like few months to adapt the new technique, new everything, new change. It's need a little bit for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
support
Okay.
it as it gets stronger. So yeah, wonderful. All right, thank you, Doris. All right, Melinda, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. I just love what everyone's saying, from the basic to the spiritual, from the bottom up is amazing. And so I mentioned to some of you before, I've been playing for about 45, 46 years. And before I go into anything, I want to say that there is no stigma or shame in admitting that you have pain as a harpist. I think that's something that people hide. Harpists, that I've known, it's kind of a hidden thing. They don't want other harpists to know they're in pain. And, and instead of talking about it, which is what we're doing today, we're finding solutions to trying to play when we are in pain. And whether that's caused from overplaying, in my case, I've had injuries outside of playing the harp. I've had 3 whiplash injuries caused by other people, 2 frozen shoulders. Each frozen shoulder takes almost 2 years to overcome. Your arm can only go about there. And it is so painful to play with a frozen shoulder. And I've had 2, one side and then the other side. So I've had 4 years of playing in horrific pain. I've had several slips and falls because people overwater plants and leave things on sidewalks, so you have to be really careful as a harpist because you use your hands, you use your feet, your whole body. It's like Lori said, the importance of a good teacher, good technique. I won't go into that. There's lots to be said there. She said pretty much everything. Important thing when you are playing long hours is to have I find, like at the restaurant, because I have 3 sets of 45, 50 minutes each, it's really important to have a chair with a back, and so that you can rest your back and your lower back, so you have something to lean against. A lot of times I'm leaning forward, we're moving a little bit, but when I start feeling my body's tired, I lean back on some songs, like especially if there's not a lot of pedals. You can kind of lean back and relax a little bit. And okay, so now I'm going to talk about the professional remedies I've had to deal with, because obviously I've had chronic pain, chronic fatigue for a long time. I saw a top psychiatrist from St. Paul's Hospital. She was the head of the pain department. For years, I did prolotherapy, which is sugar injection into the neck, the muscle. They use that on horses who use their muscles a lot. And that works quite nicely. And freezing sometimes when I've had migraines and a lot of overplaying. And I never ever did any steroids. If I did anything natural, it would be like arnica. I would take it like if I'm in a lot of pain and I have to play. I use arnica, but a lot of other techniques. Also magnesium. So as you age and you go through menopause, your muscles atrophy, they change. So magnesium is so important and people don't get enough. Like a regular person, like a woman, I think needs 350 milligrams. Guy needs like 450. As harpists, we need more. And you have to take it with vitamin D3. So that helps a lot. There's also something called magnesium oil that I discovered. So if you've got a little twingy pain or something you've overplayed, this magnesium oil, you put it on, it just works. People that are involved in sports and skiing, they use it. It works like a charm. Then massage, important, especially getting your arms and hands massaged and your shoulders and neck. The person that's helped me the most is my chiropractor. I used to see I've been seeing chiropractors for 35 years. They used to do the cracking and, it would help. But the new chiropractor I've seen for the last 2 years has done the most amazing work for me. And he moves muscle. And it's a special technique. And not very many chiropractors do it. But he's helped peel away the pain. I see him every 2 weeks. So that's important. Other important thing, diet and inflammation. If your diet's bad, you're going to have inflammation. Number one, worst thing, sugar. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's going to cause a lot of problems, a lot more problems. When I did have a few little inflammation problems and, like my wrists or whatever, I just cut back on sugar and inflammatory foods and it would clear up. So, look at your glycemic food index, anything high in sugar, wheat. I don't eat a lot of wheat. I avoid bad oils, seed oils and fried foods, GMOs, avoid. Like it's our body, it's our temple. So, we have to be observant of those things. This past weekend, I did 15 hours of playing. Saturday was 7.5 hours. It was probably the most I ever did in one day. And I was like, how am I going to get through this? And Monday's my day off. So I do self-treatment at home. I did see the chiropractor on Tuesday that helped. My son, who's a massage therapist, worked on me yesterday. But I do a lot of my own home remedies, and I'm going to show you what I do. So one of the most important things is the proper heating pad. This one's called, it's a Battle Creek. It actually fits around your neck. And so you can do that, or you can lean up against it and work on your back. It has a wet kind of element to it. This is the best I've ever had, and because it fits around your neck. The thumper, okay? Yeah, the best, okay? After you heat it up, you got to use this. This is like amazing. This, if you can't, who can afford seeing a massage therapist all the time, right? So the thumper. Then I have this neck thing. You see them online. You lay on it for, 5-10 minutes. It supports your neck and it gets rid of the hump and really cures a lot. I don't know what it's called, but it's amazing. So I use blue balls, squash balls, not tennis balls, they're too hard. My dance teacher taught me this. Now, the importance of moving your body, swimming, anti-gravity, super important. I do that a lot. I dance, I walk, I stretch, yoga, all the things. You got to move your body. If you don't move your muscles, they're going to atrophy more. So my dance teacher, she puts 2 of these blue balls in a stocking, and she puts it at the back, and you lay on the floor and you can maneuver, and there's so much you can do. My little trick with my little blue ball, so I put my hand and I roll it on my fingers, and it just feels amazing up here on, so you have to be on a really solid flat surface. I do have a bit of arthritis in my finger. It's, genetic, because my pinky's the worst, we don't use our pinkies. So it's not from harp playing, but I just roll it and it straightens it out, and I've gotten little rings and things. I've gone to hand therapists. They didn't do very much, but sometimes you can get these ring things. Now, this is another machine I have. And is the best thing I found. I don't know what it's called. But you turn it on and it's got heat and levels, and you put your hand in, and for 15 minutes, you get a massage. I come home after playing, I put my hand in here, I fall asleep immediately. I won't even get through the 15 minutes. It's like amazing. It's from China. I don't know. It just massages all the hands and all the points, and so I've found all these things. Other thing, castor oil is amazing. So if you have a little twinge or something, you can put a little poultice overnight, and the next morning it just kind of goes in and clears up a lot of things. And so, these are the things I've had to do to try to manage this level of pain. So after 7.5 hours, 15 hours on the weekend, Monday, I was like a zombie. And I just started doing all this self-massage and taking care of myself, hot baths. And before you know it, by the end of the day, I was feeling pretty good. Saw the chiropractor, my ribs were locked. He just went in there, moved the muscles, moved the ribs, and, and then my son gave me a massage, and I'm ready for more, so these are the things I've discovered over many, many, many years of what to do. And the aging thing, things get harder. So you got to do these things more. And magnesium, yes, good diet, anti-inflammatory. So that's what I'm talking about today, because I think, how are we going to find the solutions? Prevention, solution. So that's it. Oh my God. I hope I didn't go over, but
No, that's perfect. That's just great, Melinda. Thank you so much. It's
you're
so what's great from what I'm learning from you today is like, oh, there's some more things I could be doing at home. There's some things I'm definitely doing right. Like, oh, check, I'm doing that. Check, check, check. Diet, I'm good with that. But some of the gadgets that you have there are super. I have that. I have the squash balls in a sock myself.
oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, and you can make that. You don't have to buy some fancy equipment. You can make this stuff out of stuff that you have at home, or very inexpensively at at the discount stores and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you. So, and I just wanted to mention again to everybody that this whole panel discussion came out of a conversation that Melinda and I had a few months ago, and so I just want to thank you again for putting this idea out here and getting us together and all of that. So next up, I want to invite Janet Darty, who is an optician and a harpist, and she's gonna. Let's see.
I'm here.
You're there. Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Yay, you're here.
I don't know that I'm able to talk for 10 minutes on this, but I'm going to try.
Well, say what you need to say and stop when you're ready to stop.
Well, first I want to say I'm really pleased to be here, and to our last speaker, I have 90% of what she has. I've got my little blue pillow, and uh, uh, I've had arthritis since I was 12 years old, and I've had RA, I've got osteo, I've got lupus, I've got pain issues that I don't know how much are from the harp. I'm also an optician, so my job involves being over a bench a lot, making glasses and dealing with little screws and things. So I'm in that position a lot, and then I'm in the position on the harp. And Lori Riley has been my hero forever, reading about everything that she puts out, and trying to do what I can to stay pain free on the harp. One of the things that not everybody needs, but those of us that do really do, are our glasses at the harp. Even if you're improvising at the harp, somewhere you've got a note, somewhere you've got something, you're tuning your strings. People that don't wear glasses wear over-the-counter glasses, and you need a different power for reading than you do at the harp. I also play the piano. I have violin, guitar. I have other instruments here. And I know at the piano, I wear a music glass that the top range is set for the sheet music, and then it still has the bifocal, the no line bifocal for making notes on the music if I want. When I play the harp, I want a single vision pair. I don't want to deal with any multifocal. There's a couple solutions around that. If you're playing with an orchestra, you have to see the conductor, you have to see that. So they do make what they call a workspace lens. It's basically meant for 10 feet and in. So you get your sheet music. You can still see over there. It's not great over there, but you can see what you need to see. But your range inside is wonderful. So your optician, depending on the state that you live in, if you measure how far away your sheet music stand is, and you say, okay, it's all right, but you don't want to be, if you're wearing a bifocal, you don't want to be tipping your head up to try to see your sheet music. You don't want to be tipping your head up to see these strings and then these are blurry. You want to be able to see, because that's going to lead to neck issues, and that's going to lead to a whole sort of other different positions that you're going to be getting into without even thinking about it, because you're trying to see. So working with either your eye doctor or your optician, all you need is the measurement from your music stand to where you are. And if you have a prescription, they can adapt it. Different states have different trainings for opticians. The state I'm in has good licensing, and the optician should be able to convert your prescription to a music prescription, which is not the same as a computer prescription. It's not the same as a reading. So it takes somebody to listen. I've had so many musicians talk about how they quit playing piano because they really couldn't see the sheet music that well, and it was hurting their neck to try to see it. And nobody suggested just a single vision pair for that, or some other. Everybody tries to get one pair that'll do everything, and it's like getting one pair of shoes and expecting to be able to walk anywhere in them. You can't do that. You need your hiking boots in the woods, and you need your flip-flops on the beach. So it's important for your neck, it's important for your eyes, your head, your posture, everything to be able. And I know this is an improvisational group, so we're not supposed to be even looking at sheet music, I guess, but we still have our notes. If we have a set that we want to be on, or the chord progression we want to follow, we still have, at least I do, because I'm still glued to the page. I'm here to get away from the page, but I still have my music. And people communication's a great thing to get to help with the pain for all kinds of things. 187 pedal changes in one piece and 200 and some on the other. Yeah, my pedal harp gets precious little use. I had one teacher tell me to get rid of it because of I'm short, and she said, I don't need the weight of it. My body doesn't need the stress of it, but I still love it. So I still have it and I still play it. It just doesn't get played as much as some of my other ones. And the other thing, when we're thinking about what we're seeing and how we're playing is the tension of the strings of the harp that we're playing. If we have bad hands, and I have really arthritic hands, I've had one thumb replaced, the other one's well on its way to needing replaced. The joint, not the thumb, but the joint's been replaced. So I have a Kamek electro harp that has really gentle tension, and I have a Stonian double strung that has really easy tension to play, but they're not, I play all of my harps and I guess my topic is you want to see when you play them. So talk to your eye doctor, talk to your optician. If you wear a +1 when you're reading, or let's say a 2, let's say you wear a 2 over the counter reader, try a 1 for your harp. If you wear a 3 for your go to the store and try, if you wear over the counters, put on 1 and then get that distance away from your music and see if it looks good. If it doesn't look good, put a different one on, put less power on, and see how little power you can wear to see what you need to see. Makes a difference.
Yeah, Thel, thank you so much for walking us through that. And these glasses are music glasses. I had them specially made. My eye
And it makes a difference.
And absolutely. And I wear readers also. I wear over-the-counter readers for just, day-to-day stuff. But when I'm teaching,
Okay.
I know, right? And then I have my distance glasses for driving.
Right.
So I finally acquiesced and said, okay, I'm going to have 3 pairs of glasses, and that's just going to be what it is. So,
then don't forget your sunglasses then. So.
right. My bifocal sunglasses.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. So I can read the maps. So, all right. But you brought up a really important point that I knew you were going to talk about vision today, but you talk about neck tension from tipping your head back from
Yes.
reading in your bifocals. I think that's really an important point. And I'm very sorry to hear that people have quit because they can't see their music. That just seems like
It's
a simple thing to fix.
I've had people absolutely in tears when they realized they didn't have to give it up, and they were able to go back to it.
Wow.
And it just seemed like, are you kidding? This is easy. We can fix this, but nobody told them.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're here to tell our audience, that are with us today and those who will be watching the replay. So really grateful. So again, anybody, if you have questions for any of our...
I have one question for Janet, if it's possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wear in contact because I have minus.
Okay.
And I will mention again the holy word menopause. So
Right.
in the menopause, start to get my vision to plus.
Right.
But I have now minus 0.50 and minus 0.70 and plus 1. So double. So when I'm in orchestra, that's the part that's make me problem. If I'm moving my sheets low, I can see without contacts.
Right.
It is okay. And I can see very, very good harp now, but I can't see the conductor. If I put contact, I must get closer. I don't have a good vision on harp, but I can see good, very good to conductor. So I try with the contacts and glasses with the +1, but it doesn't work.
No.
Bifocal, I don't want it because it's very, very,
No.
I start to wear contacts for the beginning because from glasses I have during orchestra part, because we have everyday rehearsals, it's dark, it's a little light. I had migraines and I change it with the contract. With the contact, it's so much better because you don't have a neck tension, you don't have a go like this, you have good vision. So what do you suggest? I hear there is the contacts who can double, who have minus and plus, but I don't believe it, that it can be.
It's possible. One of the first things that I would try, and it doesn't work for everybody. It works for a ton of people. It doesn't work for me. But you can wear one contact for the conductor. And one contact, either leave out, because you can probably read without, you don't
Yes,
need,
yes, yeah,
yes, so leave one of them out.
great.
So this one, you turn, your brain learns to work with that, and you have one for distance. People, the only people that aren't allowed to do that is airline pilots, because it can mess with your depth perception when you're trying to land a plane. But tons of people, some people have cataract surgery and they do one eye for distance and one eye for near. And it doesn't even, you can have, I just helped a lady who had one eye for distance in her surgery and the other eye for intermediate. And she puts on a lens that's plain in one eye and has a little bit of reading and just a little boost for close reading. But she said she doesn't read that much close. She does mostly intermediate computer stuff. And so she's one distance, one set for you tell them how far away your music stand is, and you either need none on that side if you're working with this side, and you just don't have one, and one eye on the conductor.
Thank you so much. Thank
Give
you.
it a try.
Yes, I will, because it's a perfect advice. Okay, you have part of contacts and you put everything together. Great advice. I will try and I will let you know.
Okay. Let me know.
Yeah,
Keep
I
in
will let you
touch.
know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's talk with Melinda. I wish we lived closer. I've been playing harp 28 years, but I'm a physician of Chinese medicine / acupuncturist herbalist. Shouldn't take 2 years to get over a frozen shoulder. Just saying. I deal with musicians' injuries as well because I am one. I've been playing for 28 years. I just want to make some people still believe in the old RICE acronym for if you get an injury, which is rest, ice, compression, elevation. Ice is bad. It's been, the College of Orthopedic Doctors, Surgeons got rid of that about 8 years ago. So unless it's like a really acute, like I just bruised myself, ouch. Ice, don't do ice. Okay, heat is far better. Start gentle. You can work your way up. One thing that I've noticed in playing harp, how many of you do, I don't know if you can see me because I'm not pointing. You pluck your string and you do this type of thing. It looks very elegant and flowery. It hurts your shoulder. It goes up into your upper arm. It goes through your shoulder, into your neck, and headaches. You can test it yourself. Too much of that is going to end up causing, to do this type of motion. I'm not sure because I'm not in front of a harp. Be careful with it. And you can test it. Put your arm on your shoulder, not up here, and test it and feel what happens in your arm. You're going to feel a tension. Now, if instead of doing that, you just drop your hand about 2 inches, you're going to feel that release. So that tension is not going to go across your shoulder, up into your neck, and up into your head, causing headaches and other pains. Just something to think about.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Magnesium, totally important. Yeah, oral and topical magnesium. Like I said, just if anybody tells you, oh, you should put ice on it, just don't do it. Okay, just don't. That's all.
Is heat better?
Definitely.
Heat is
Definitely.
better. That's interesting.
I mean, like I said, ice, if you've just like, you just walked into the corner of a table and you're going to get a huge bruise, right? You want to try to stop as much blood from going in there that's going to cause the knot and the bruise. But if you keep putting ice after that, the blood flow is stopped. It's not able to go in and relieve the inflammation because you've got all of these byproducts of trauma that are just sitting there rather than being circulated out and taken care of by the blood. So pretty much ice is like a no-no.
I
Wow.
never use ice ever.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah.
And arnica for bruises.
Yeah.
Arnica,
Yeah.
I found doesn't do anything. It's the other substances in with the arnica gels. Plain
Arnica orally.
hasn't done it.
Orally, yes. I take it like 3
Oral.
pills for bruises because I
Orally.
have a lot of bruises sometimes. And it's holistic.
For pain relief. What do you use, Diane, for
Well,
pain
I
relief?
don't use arnica, and I'll tell you why. What got me into harp is doing reenactment of the Middle Ages and Renaissance. There's like 1,000 guys on the battlefield whacking on each other. fighting, really fighting.
Been there.
And I was a field medic, plus I was dating some of these guys at different times. So I said, let me test the arnica, you know, because they get these big welts, usually up here. They're really hitting hard. I only tested it on one half of the bruise or where the site was. Next day, 2 days, there's no difference. The arnica didn't make a bit of difference.
Hmm.
And after seeing this consistently, I was like, you know, I kind of just don't.
What about I only do arnica like for pain relief, like internal.
I can't test that. See, what I'm doing is I'm testing the topicals.
Oh,
And I'm
do
saying,
you do anything internally that helps with pain that's natural?
I do, but it's based in Chinese herbology, Chinese medicine.
be nice to
There's a
know.
whole different, because it depends on where in the body you're hurting, if you're running hot, if you're running cold. That's 2.5 years of just study
Right.
exams on
So
that.
we can contact you and get you to
Yeah.
prescribe us something?
I can try, yeah.
Yeah.
But arnica topically, I was totally not impressed. Plus then I had some major surgery and said, well, I'm going to test arnica gel or cream, whatever you can get, right? I put it on half and then not the other half, no difference.
Do you like the magnesium oil?
I do like magnesium, especially like if some people tend to get calf cramps in your legs. that
Yeah,
type
I do.
Wake you up in the middle of the night screaming.
Yeah.
Yes, I like the magnesium oil for that very much, as well as oral. And you have to be careful. You don't want magnesium citrate. It's not absorbed by the body very well. You need to like
I do the malate.
thionate or glycinate tend to be the better absorbed forms of magnesium
I
for
do
you.
the malate because it's for the muscle.
Yes, that's also, yeah.
Mhm.
Just avoid the citrate, which is what you get in the cheap bottles. You
Yeah,
get.
and then you get like a lot of diarrhea from taking too much. You got to be.
Well, that's part of what they used to give for constipation was, and it's still on the lower shelves at like the pharmacies. It was magnesium citrate. It was a bottle of magnesium, and you drink that, and that's what you do. So taking it orally, that's what it's going to do to you. It's not going to help what we're looking at it for.
Is anybody
Alrighty.
familiar with Leon Fleischer?
I'm sorry.
Is anybody familiar with Leon Fleischer?
Oh, Fleischer.
He was a concert pianist who developed a repetitive stress injury to his right hand from practicing. And he got to the point where he was not able to play at all because he thought, okay, I'm stiff from playing. I need to play more. So, you know, I get through this. I have to play through it. I have to play through the pain. And he got so he couldn't play for several years. He wrote things for the left hand and things. And they had, the only thing that helped him was Botox. And that got him playing again. And I'm actually seeing a neurologist soon because they're looking at cervical dystonia with me, which we don't know if it's Harp related or just because I have so much arthritis in me that.
And the other thing when I'm big about, the woman who introduced me to Harp was, I'm talking 20 years ago, more, was a principal harpist for a major symphony, plus she had a recording contract. Okay. Which meant she was practicing 12 hours a day because of these two things. And she didn't listen to her body, which is so important. And she noticed one night that more strings were red than should be.
Oh my goodness.
And she'd gone numb and she was literally playing through blisters and she was bleeding and she lost her career because she didn't listen to her body. And it's, you know, I've seen her and she would play for like 3 minutes and go, I can't feel my hands anymore. And she's done, which is really tragic. And that's why I say that we're a lot like professional sports, football players, professionals, because we're taught you play through the pain. You're going to put yourself in a strange position for many, many hours a day. We're just like sports athletes, except it's usually from the waist up.
Right.
Unless we hurt our back carrying the harps. Different. But,
And low
Drop it on our foot.
payment
Yeah.
and lower
You know,
payment for
right.
musicians.
Gotta listen to your
Right.
body. I mean, if you don't, you're going to pay for it like my friend who did, and she lost her career.
Yeah. This has been such an interesting conversation, and I hate to cut it off because we still have one more speaker who's going to, so I'm going to invite Carol Duffy to come up. She is an occupational therapist specializing in the hand problems of instrumental musicians. So this is exactly what we've been talking about here. And she is the author of Give Yourself a Hand, which is an article that was in the Harp column in 2003. So she's going to talk to us about hand stuff. You're on. Carol Duffy's in the house.
All right. Hello, everybody. Well, I will tell you, I am enjoying and empathizing with all the things that you're saying. And first of all, I'm happy to be here. And I'm getting this image as all of you are talking, and I'm getting an image of the infinity symbol. The infinity symbol has to do with my entry into the world of harpists with hand problems, because it's sort of a magical entry point. And I'll try to do a very short version of it. But I was a piano performance major in college, way back, St. Paul, Minnesota, had many musician friends, and at one point wanted to go into music therapy that didn't exist back in 1970, whatever it was back then. So I ended up shifting over to occupational therapy, and long story, ended up specializing in hand injuries. And I had my own clinic in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for 15 years. But I'm hearing pieces of all of your stories that I can totally relate to. At age 40, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I got the express lane to menopause, a whole year of horrible chemotherapy. And back then, I mean, it's still not wonderful, but it was horrific back then. And many surgeries, many everything. Long story short, and when I was in Eau Claire, I had my own hand therapy clinic. And so I was right at the peak of that career when I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, but I saw many, many people with hand injuries. And I'm hearing some of you talk about people over practicing through pain. I saw many of my patients back then had that similar thing with doing keyboarding on the computer, where literally I had one patient who was a Rhodes Scholar, who his father brought him to my clinic. And the kid was a Rhodes Scholar. He couldn't even zip his pants. He couldn't brush his teeth because computers were the new thing back then, but overuse on anything, a harp, a guitar, a computer, all of these things can contribute to the stress. So my doorway to how in the heck did I get involved with harpists is a little bit magical. When I was sort of at the bottom of the barrel going through my own cancer journey, I had one of those down there moments where it's like, how am I going to save my own life? What am I going to do? I'm crying. What's it all about? And literally this voice came into me. And the voice that came to me, it identified itself as the Archangel Raphael. So work with me, people, because this gets a little woo-woo. But I made this promise that if I could live through the cancer, through the chemo, I would follow any pathway to music as a healing modality. No matter how weird it would be, no matter how crazy, it didn't matter. I would follow whatever that was. So that led me on this magical mystery tour. And another long story short, one of those led me to Port Townsend, Washington, where I started doing guided imagery in music. And in one of those images, I did this for about 8 months. And the images that would come to me, these were like big panoramic movies. And one day after doing this long series of imagery, this invitation came into me through an email, through a lot of different things. There was an image that was for the 7th World Harp Congress in the Czech Republic. And when I saw the image, I pushed the computer away from me and walked away from my computer because it was the exact image of one of the images I'd gotten in my guided imagery and music things. And I just was freaked out because it was so exact. So as I started reading through what the itinerary was for the World Harp Congress, I saw on the Sunday itinerary that a dear friend of mine from St. Paul, Minnesota, was a composer, and his wife, Kathy Kinzel, who's the principal harpist for the Minnesota Orchestra, were on the itinerary. So long story short, I ended up flying to Prague, Czech Republic, to be at this world premiere of a piece of music that Dan, my friend, had written. And Kathy was one of the performers, and a dear friend of theirs did the guitar part of this concerto. When I arrived at the World Harp Congress, Kathy literally took me by my hand, started walking me around to meet all these harpists with hand problems. As a hand therapist, I had no idea what the scope and the extent of the problems that you all were having. So when I'm hearing this, I have just such tremendous empathy for you on both sides of the coin, having to access medical people like me that were clueless, but the problems that you also have. The other performer in that concerto, Gilbert, had an international guitar festival that he held every year in England. So as a result of going to that and meeting with them, Gilbert invited me to be the resident hand therapist at his International Guitar Festival in England for 2 summers. Kathy started getting me involved in doing presentations for, I think I did a presentation for the American Harp Society in St. Paul, Minnesota, many, many years ago. And from that came the article that I wrote for the Harp column. In the Harp column, I gave 8 scenarios of different types of problems that harpists and guitarists have. So it's from 2003. So if people want to read that, they can certainly go through that. The infinity symbol that I want to talk about more than the biomechanics of, the physical problems. It's my own personal gratitude to all of you that what you have to do to produce your music, because part of my Archangel Raphael vow was to follow music, but it led to a whole journey of how music of the harp and music in general heals people as they go through their own journeys. And I have been a recipient of that. So as a result of following this, we had someone who was a graduate from the Chalice of Repose help one of my sisters cross over from breast cancer at the young age of 44. And I've been able to benefit from what you guys work so hard to produce, to see direct hand and direct experience, even with me, how the music that emanates from your bodies, your souls, your vows, and your commitment to this instrument and producing the music has really a direct impact on the world. So as a hand therapist who used to be unconscious of the needs of how do we support the physical bodies of our musicians, I've now, been enlightened and feel a really strong commitment to help all of you keep producing the music that you do, not only because you love it, but the world in general really needs for your music to continue for forever and for as long as you're in the world. So short version, I would be the traditional medical person that you hope you never have to see. But the good news is there are a few numbers of us that are hand therapists that specialize in working with musicians, and many of us are musicians ourselves. So we really get it. So when people come to us and say, I can't play, there are horror stories that I liken it to, what if you went into the doctor and said, "Doctor, I have a cold, I can't breathe, I'm coughing." Well, what if he were to say to you, "Well, just quit breathing for 6 weeks while your lungs heal"? Right. I'll just stop breathing until my lungs heal. That's what it's like for musicians. What you do, what you play, what you bring to the world is an extension of your existence. It's your being. It's not something that you do. So to tell people to just quit playing, it's just not a good idea. So that's sort of a nutshell version of my contribution to Harpist, of how you have helped me and how I can help you continue to do your craft. Along the way, I have something in the chat, but one of the other musicians that I met through Kathy from the Minnesota Orchestra's Janet Horvath, she has a book called Playing Less Hurt, and hers goes into a combination of prevention and, okay, well, so now you are hurt, what are you going to do? So I'll put that in the chat right now. If people, they may have heard of it, can look at it. There's also a book that many of you have already talked about, that even since it was published has been updated and upgraded, but it's no longer published, but it's called Medical Problems of the Instrumentalist Musician. And it goes through issues for all musicians, not just harpists. So, you know, it addresses some of the biomechanics. It's all that is a foundation. But I think, as all of you have learned, there is no one size fits all. The only size that fits everybody is for you to learn about your own body. So the task is to find one size that fits you, and that's going to change for everyone. And I encourage people to continue that journey, because there is a lot out there, and just don't give up if you didn't find it the first time. So that is sort of my short version of the infinity symbol of how we are recipients of our own music. Others are recipients of your music, and how those of us who gratefully absorb what you give us, we would like to give back to you to keep your bodies working so that you can do it forever.
Oh, thank you so much, Carol. And I'll put links to how people can get in touch with you and everybody else when I put together the whole package and the replay of this, and this Amazon link that you have in here. I'll make sure that gets included in there as well. And thank you so much for, well, what felt like a tribute to harpists for the last 10 minutes. It really is really appreciated and feels good, all yummy, like, oh yeah, we do that, don't we? We do, yeah.
You really do. And one more comment about the improvisational piece of it. I was actually happy because I didn't have anything prepared for this thing, and I went, you know what, I'm just going to follow the spirit of improvisation. And the encouragement I would like to offer you, that has to do, maybe this is a direct channeling from the Archangel Raphael, but when you improvise, you are giving your own spirit, your own soul, you're letting the genie out of the bottle, so that you get to let you bring you into your own space and for other people. And I think that makes a big difference, not only in the biomechanics of your body, but how you get to introduce you to yourself as you hear what comes out of your body when you give it some free range. So don't stop, keep going.
That's great advice, Carol. I really appreciate that. Does anybody have any other questions? We might actually end on time, which is awesome. I've always got a little extra room if we need to go over. Yeah, Janet, go ahead. And then Melinda.
And for Carol, I guess, when we were talking about hand therapy, warm wax, my hand therapist used to use warm wax on my hands. Any of you guys use the wax warmers for your hands, and they even have them for your feet.
You know, it's any way that you can get uniform heat. The purpose of heat, any kind of heat, is to dilate your blood vessels. It's to dilate the capillaries. And what happens when people have pain, you get this micro spasm at the ends of your capillaries. So if you're taking any internal medicine, pain medicine, arnica, anything, if those little capillaries are spasming, it's not allowing the therapeutic agent to get into your bloodstream. So the heat is going to help relax all those end capillaries to open up, to let the medicine get in the bloodstream and to prevent that spasming. And I won't talk about it now, but there are other supplements that can actually help with that, keep you from spasming. And my answer, again, it's the one size fits you. If it feels good, keep doing it. But there are many, many different kinds of heat. The thing about the wax is it coats all your skin surface. So it conforms to all the little nooks and crannies in your hand. That's maybe a little bit different than maybe a hot pad or something else, because that's ambient air and not direct over there. But I would say do what works.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, Melinda.
Carol, do you have any books or guidelines, or we want to know more because you said you had 8 points, but
Well, the truth is I'd love to write my own. I've had a lot of dramas for which I've needed harp music therapy to get me through about a bunch of crazy things. But, Janet Horvath is a good one. There are the organization I would recommend that you join. It's PAMA, Performing Arts Medicine Association. They address all instruments, so it's not just harp. But I did presentations for them on the biomechanics for harpists and guitarists at a couple of their sessions, but it's PAMA, PAMA.org, Performing Arts Medicine Association. And it's an international organization, and most of the people who are part of this organization are medicine professionals who are also musicians. So when we do presentations, everybody that starts to introduce themselves, they always say that their portal to wanting to be in this subspecialty is because they love music so much. So that's where you're going to get the blend of the traditional medical background, but the love and the soul of music. So I would encourage people to look up that organization.
Great. I'll put that in the notes as well. Yeah,
Can I ask? Okay, Carol, I have one idea. If you notice, I always have some kind of idea, if you like it. So if I could understand, you write to blog about, do you have your blog or something like that?
Oh, you know what? No, I don't. But, maybe this is going to be the next nudge.
Okay, next nudge is my idea. Next nudge is my idea. So we are here harpist, and everybody of us have something recorded. Maybe we can send to you a few minutes of music.
Yes.
And according to your inspiration, that you can write.
Yes.
Something. And maybe start with the blog, and maybe we'll end with the online book or something like that, because you have Raphael with you, so come on, please do that.
Raphael, listen, because people are putting in requests, so you got to tell me how to do the nuts and bolts and the mechanic, because really when you're dealing with your bodies, it's the chop wood, carry water segment of recovery. I mean, there's real things that you have to do. It's not just fancy thinking or inspire. There's things you got to actually do. So I'm working on it. But I would love this because I love the whole field of medicine and music. It's my passion.
So if everybody here agree about that, we can send you like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and for every piece of article, of topic, of everything what you get, you write something about that. Hands, legs, hair, waterfall, everything. So
Thank you. Thank you. I needed the inspiration, so thank you.
Yeah, well,
you're welcome.
you have a big audience and a home here with the Improvising Harpist Facebook group, and so if you want to test some article ideas or ask people what they would like you to write about, you're more than welcome to put those questions out to the group and get hot topics and ideas.
Right. And just to emphasize the whole issue of improvisation, for those of you who are struggling with traditional music and following music on a page, and I'm note dependent, I call this, I don't get up in a meeting and say I'm an alcoholic. I say I'm a note dependent musician. I don't improvise, but we need to improvise to give your soul a playground. And anyway, that's my plug
I
for you.
love that. I'm going to quote you on that if that's all right. We need to improvise to give our souls a playground. That's wonderful. All right, so we're just a few minutes over. I want to thank everyone who spoke today, Lori, Jessica, Doris, Melinda, Janet, and Carol, and for everyone who is here live, and for everyone who is watching this later and staying through here till the very end. And I'm delighted to have been able to host this, and we'll probably do something like this again. We've got some very knowledgeable people here on the call that could easily have been on the panel. And of course, there's way more to talk about on this topic as well. So stay tuned for a future event of some sort. We'll see, maybe about 6 months, 6 or 9 months, we'll do it again. All right, if there's not any other questions, oh, Carol Host writes, a 12 half-step program. Thank you, Diane. This was wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week and keep improvising. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.